All right. Hello, everyone. We are here with some Burnout Paradise with our lovely friend here, Nimputs. Nimputs, I leave the stage to you.
Hi everyone. Hi ESA. So this is Burnout Paradise. This run uses a prepared save file with no progress on it, so we don't have to watch the 5-minute intro/tutorial cutscene. The timing starts as soon as I start my engine, which is gonna be in 3, 2, 1, go. Alright, so the start of the run is a tad inconsistent. I hope it treats me well. So immediately in front of the start there's a road rage event. And what road rages are is you basically free roam through the city with a lot of different cars, and you have to get a set number of takedowns. So you basically have to make other cars crash. So I do these like right at the start of the run because the takedown requirement is extremely low in the early game, and therefore they go really, really quickly. But this is not treating me well. Oh, this looks very bad. Okay, there's one. Yeah, I'm gonna have to overshoot my goal here a little bit. Alright, so there's my 2 takedowns that I need. Because I got bad luck, I have to unfortunately turn around here and drive back to this junction. But yeah, I'm gonna pull over at this junction here and end the event here. And I pull over exactly at this junction because this junction is where the next event that I want to do is start. So you basically have access to the whole city, and on every junction there is one event that you can play. The game just respawned me out of bounds. That's fantastic. Okay, off to a good start. That's what I mean when I say the start is a bit inconsistent of this game. But yeah, so the start of this run is me doing 3 road rage events, and then I won't do any more of these event types for the rest of the run, because as you progress, they get a higher takedown requirement, and they start taking really long and getting more and more inconsistent. So they're only like really viable for the beginning of the run. So I got my 3 takedowns here, pulling over again to quit the event. And now that I've won 2 events, I've unlocked my first license. So you have to win a number of events to upgrade your license. So right here I upgraded the learner permit to the D license. And now the next goal is the C license. So you see on the bottom, upgrade in 7 wins. And when you get a new license, the events that you previously won get cleared off, so you can play them again, and they count how it's your license. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm just gonna use the menu to restart the event I just did, so I can play it again, and it's gonna count towards the C license. So now it's the same event again, but now I have to get 4 takedowns. And now I'm also gonna take a bit of a different route than I did before, because I want to go to an event that's in this direction. I missed that one. So you have to get pretty lucky with the car spawns occasionally. Yeah, sometimes the game just does not want to spawn any cars, but this is looking decent right now. Alright. Come on, somebody crash. No, nobody. Crash, crash. Everything is going wrong here. Alright, please. You crash. Okay, so this event is done, finally. So, 4 takedowns here, and that's all you're gonna see of road rages for the rest of the run. That was horrible, but it happens. As I've said, this part of the run is really inconsistent. If you try to go for a good time, you're gonna reset a lot on the road rages. But now that that's done, I'm gonna head to the first race. So, races are pretty self-explanatory. You have a starting point and an end point, and you race opponents. And you basically just have to get to the end point first. So this race is really short. Doesn't let me enter here. Need to wait a moment. Alright. So this race is really short. You can see on the map. Start point is up here and finish is down there. So you just have to drive down the road. Really quick race. So yeah. The AI here at the beginning is still really tame. There should not be much of an issue. You can see I'm rubber banding. Interesting. But it should be fine. Snaking a little bit here to get some extra boost. And now there's the finish line, so I'm gonna handbrake over the finish line so I don't, like, just shoot all the way over the finish line and just keep driving in the cutscene. So the next event that I want to do is behind the finish line of this one. So I made sure to not go full speed over the finish line, because otherwise I would end up all the way down the road. So the next event is here.
This is a race. You are here.
So the thing with this game is you are literally permanently in free roam, no matter what type of event you're in. So with the races you have the start point and the ending point, but it's completely on you how you get there. So you can take the main route, you can take shortcut routes, you can take a detour if you want. It doesn't matter as long as you eventually get to the end. So what I'm gonna do here is take a bit of a diagonal through the park here, and then head back to this diagonal main road. It's a tad faster than the route the AI takes. And now I'm gonna take a back alley here, and then a quick right and left, which allows me to cut corners a little more than I would do on the main road. So right here and left here, and you see you can cut these corners really nicely. So this is a pretty fast route. So coming up to the end of this event here, make sure I get some boost, and handbrake, turn around. It's a bit random sometimes, like sometimes in the cutscene, in the winning cutscene, you see the car snap back around, and it's kind of lucky if you get it well. Ideally, you want to obviously turn around and then just slip backwards over the finish line, more or less. But a lot of times in the cutscene, then the car just kind of snaps back around. But the most important part is that if you want to turn around, you don't go full speed over the finish line. So you don't have to drive all the way back. So this right here is the third event type that I'm gonna do. It's a stunt run. So right here at the start, the point requirement that I have to get is really small. So I'm just gonna follow a fixed route here and just basically head straight to the next event that I want to do. And that's already gonna give me enough points without even really having to do anything right here. So you can get multipliers by going through these billboards or doing big jumps and doing other tricks. But I don't really have to do that. I just do it here because it's like on the path pretty much. But I already have enough points even without the multiplier. So as I get to this junction here where the next event is, I'm just gonna crash my car into the side of the road here. And what that does, that is actually the quickest way to end a stunt run. Because as long as you have a combo going at the top of the screen, you can't end the stunt run, and the quickest way to end a combo is by just crashing your car. Usually there's like a little timer going underneath the combo. It's like a circle that fills up slowly, and when that timer runs out, you lose your combo. But especially if you have a low multiplier, that takes really long to fill up. So in most cases it's significantly faster to just crash your car into your wall. So yeah, doing the next stunt run here. Heading to the beach, you're gonna see this location a couple times more. This is where I do a lot of stunts later on as well. But yeah, still, these are really straightforward, just taking basic straight jumps here, and that easily gives me enough points. Already 4k times 3, so 12k, that's easily enough. And crashing my car in here. And right at this junction is already where the next event is gonna be. So you can already tell pretty much how the routing in this game works. So you basically have these events that you can pick from, and you try to chain them together in a way that you have a event set in in and of itself take a small amount of time, and B, events that don't have much driving in between, so you can do them as quickly as possible. So the start of the run is like you just have really short events that are really close together. So over here, plain sailing, all the events have names. You might hear me refer to one of the names throughout the run. Actually, I'm looking at I have my splits open on my end to tell me which event I have to do next. I can't actually remember the exact route. I could probably remember like the early game, but the route gets way too complicated later on. There's no way you can actually remember that. So I have my splits open to help me. So if I refer to like an event name and say something like plain sailing or deep south or unconventional or something like that, this is me referring to an event. If I don't explain that, in case you get confused or something. But yeah, again, pretty short race. And now we're gonna come to this junction where there's a next stunt run. This one's pretty tricky. It has like 2 ramps that I'm gonna try to go over, and these ramps are like right behind a bump. So it's really easy to just approach it and then go over the bump and then lose control and crash into the side of the ramp. So I'm gonna have to be careful here. The game wants me to go back there, but it's much more convenient to just turn around and go back up here. So we'll see how these ramps go. Slowing down a little bit here to be safe. That's 1. And there's 2. Excellent. So that's enough points. Easily 30k. And now I'm gonna crash my car here. And that's this event done. And that is 7 wins on C license, which means I unlock the B license. And now with the B license, I'm gonna unlock a new car. And after this event, I'm gonna switch to the car. So this new car is the Yakuza GT. I'm gonna use it for the next 25-30 minutes, something. It's a much better car than the one I have right now. So it's definitely worth switching to that. So regarding cars that you pick, you occasionally see in between events, you see these cutscenes popping up, like, hey, this and that car is now driving around Paradise City. Shut it down to add it to your car collection. So basically what that means is when you get one of these, you unlock a car, and it randomly spawns somewhere around the city when you're free roaming, and you can spot it. And then you have to take it down, make it crash, and then when it crashes, it gets brought to the junkyard right here, and you can see it like drop down from the crane, and then you can pick it and drive it yourself. But the regular car unlocks obviously are really inconvenient to use for a speedrun, because it's random when they spawn, where they spawn, and then you have to like hunt them down and go back all the way to the junkyard to switch them. So that's not really convenient. So the only cars we use for the speedrun are those we get automatically for the license upgrade, which is in this case this car. So what I'm gonna do now is do pretty much the same order of events that you just saw me do with the previous car. So the way this goes, more or less, is you progress through licenses. Now I'm on my way to finish the B license, to unlock A license. With every license you get, you have to do more event wins. So the way the start of this run pretty much goes is you have a set of events that you do, and you do that on one license, and then you do the same set of events on the next license, plus a series of more events afterwards to meet the win requirement for the current license. So the next events are pretty much the same as you just saw me do, and then we get some new events. But yeah, let me explain really quick, I guess, what this category even is. So the category is A license, or as it's called on the leaderboards, formerly obtain A license.
This is a
Um,
race. You are
this
here.
category is basically
Race
like half of
northwest
an
the
any
country
percent
club.
run. So an any percent run acquires 5 licenses. The D license, C license, B license, A license, and the Burnout license. Every license takes longer. So Burnout license is by far the longest of these. And the A license run just gets the first 4 licenses. So it's about half of an any percent run. Because a full any percent is like just under 3 hours. So I offered this category as well because it's obviously quicker and easier to schedule. So you have a lot of options in this game depending on how long you want the run to be. So every category, every license individually has its own leaderboards on speedrun.com. So depending on how long of a run you would like, you can pick that as a category. So D license is about 1.5 minutes, so that's incredibly short. C license is 13 minutes, something like that. B license is a bit under 40 minutes. A license is under 1.5 hours, and Burnout license is under 3 hours. So depending on how long of a run you want to do, you can pick any of these. They're all valid goals on the leaderboards for a category.
For a stunt run, use boost and
So right here I do the Stunt Run again.
jumps, rolls, and spins to beat the target score
So I
inside
can
the
do
time.
exactly the same route as I did previously on the other car. But here I have a goal of 26,000. So I'm just going to be able to barely make that goal with this route. So I'm going to have to pay some attention to the multiplier. I'm looking for 6.5k times 4. Can just barely make that. That was a really low jump, so we're not gonna... yeah. Okay, I'm gonna have to do some backup drifts here to make sure I get some remaining points. I hope that's enough. If not, I'm gonna have to redo this. That's not enough. That's unfortunate. So that's pretty bad. So something that can happen is you kind of have like differing jump heights a lot of times, and right there what happened is I just got on that last ramp, I got an incredibly low jump, so that basically didn't give me any points. I think the problem was like I was like hitting the right side wall or something, and that slowed me down. So I had to go back here and get some backup points. In a PB attempt there would be a reset, but not the end of the world. So crashing my car here again, now I definitely have enough points. Yeah, 10k over, easy. And now we're heading to, again, the next stunt run. So I'm gonna start doing some flat spins here. So if you want a higher score multiplier, you have basically 2 options. Either doing flat spins or doing barrel rolls. Barrel rolls give you a higher multiplier. But you don't need that high of a score in this run, so you're basically good with flat spins, pretty much always. And flat spins are a lot safer, because if you mess one up and don't get all the way around with your spin, you still land on your wheels, so you can continue. But if you mess up a barrel roll and don't get all the way around, you land on your roof and you crash and you lose your combo, and that's not good. So I'm pretty much gonna be going for flat spins most of the time. I've been getting more comfortable, possibly too comfortable with with barrel rolls lately. So you might see me do one of these, especially like in the next license, with the next car that I use. But here I'm pretty much just gonna stick to flat spins.
The Hunter Reliable Custom is now cruising around Paradise City. If you see it, shut it down to add it to your car collection.
So that was one of the car unlock cutscenes, so These cars just keep roaming around the city. I'm just gonna ignore all of them. If I accidentally take down one, that's not that big of a deal, but I get an extra cutscene of me unlocking the car. So I definitely want to avoid that. Ooh. Okay. So you see right now there's very little traffic. As I progress through the game, the traffic density gets higher. So that's gonna get a lot more difficult later on. Trying to get some near misses on these parking cars for extra boost. So I guess I can explain the different boost types in this game. So this car right now I use has a stunt type boost, which you can see by the green flame boost bar in the bottom left corner. Stunt boost basically means that you recharge the boost by doing stunts. So anything like jumps, stuff that gives you multipliers and stunt runs, drifting, all these things, they give you new boost really quickly. But because a lot of times when you're just driving around or in races, you don't really do jumps that much. What you see me do a lot when my boost gets low is just snake back and forth to get a drift going to recharge some boost. So here again, coming up on these sketchy ramps. Careful. Yeah, this is why I don't like these ramps. Alright, I'm taking the second one at least. I'm gonna have a bit lower points here, but I have to take a quick trip to the beach anyways, because these two ramps aren't enough to meet the point requirement here. So it's actually not that big of a time loss, because I have to go here anyways. So I'll just do a flat spin here. Whoops. Okay, that's enough. So, gonna pull over on this junction here. Or crash my car, not really pull over. So this next event, which I'm gonna do, this is a new one that you didn't see in the previous license. This event is called Deep South, and it takes a really cool shortcut route diagonal through the city. So this route I usually refer to as Deep South route because this event is the first one where I started using it, and you're gonna see me do this route, at least parts of it, and other events as well. So instead of taking the intended route, I'll take a left here. And then go right here, and then to the left of me there's gonna be a broken bridge. Oops. And can I even make this now? Yeah, okay. So yeah, I'm basically just gonna take some shortcuts diagonal through the city here. If there's anything the hosts want to say, then go ahead.
Yes, I just want to quickly remind people that we do have some incentives coming in for Fight Crab later on tonight. Right now we're still at $340 out of the $500 we need for the bonus game of Pet the Pup at the Party. So make sure to get those donations in for that. And with that, I'm going to sadly have to say goodbye. This is the end of my shift. I will be back later this afternoon. But for now, I'm going to leave you all in the hands of Paul Lister here. So
Hello.
stay safe.
Hello.
Stay safe, everyone, and good luck on the run, Nimputs.
Thank you.
Good luck, Nimputs.
Thank you. Run had a couple stumbled so far, but I'm sure we'll get through this. Yeah. So yeah, this is basically the full Deep South route, the diagonal shortcut route through the city. There's a couple of shortcut routes that you're gonna see me take a couple times throughout the run that are very convenient because they lead to places that you have to travel to a lot. So
Shut it down to add it to your car collection.
basically all the linear events, so like races and Markman, which we're gonna see in a bit, where you have a fixed endpoint, They lead to one of 8 locations, one of 8 cardinal directions. What am I doing? That's the wrong event. This game is very confusing with the routing. Give me a sec. So I'm just gonna stop here and just let this event end, because this is the wrong race. It's easy to get confused between all the different junctions, so you're gonna have to be really focused to make sure you actually do the correct thing. So the event I meant to do was this one. Just one junction down the road. But yeah, what I was saying is there's 8 locations, one in each cardinal direction, and all of the race and Markman events lead to one of the 8 locations, and so there's a lot of places you have to visit a lot. So one of the most common ones is the Naval Yard, which is around the area where I just left. Now I'm traveling to the Wildcats baseball stadium, and then 3 more common ones that you see, especially in the speedrun, are the Waterfront Plaza, which is in the east, the I forgot the name. Harbor thing in the northeast, and the country club in the north. So you're gonna have to take a lot of the same routes, and you're also gonna eventually do the same shortcut routes over and over. So there's a pretty important shortcut route coming up for the next event, which is once again going diagonal through the park that I went earlier, but this one goes in the other direction. So this is a route that gets used a lot on events, basically in both directions, both leading from here to south and also going from the south to the northeast. So I'm gonna take a right here, and that's gonna lead me to the corner of the park. And then taking a left here. Be careful with traffic here. This spot can be tricky. And off to the right here. And that's just a lot quicker than staying on the main path, because they lead like... The main path lead you pretty safely to the end, so you can take these as like a beginner. But they just lead around the city rather than diagonally through it, so it's a lot faster to take these. So, as I approach the end of this event here, what I'm gonna attempt to do is similarly to what you saw me do earlier, trying to turn around as I pass the finish line. I'm just gonna take a right turn over the finish line here, and that will hopefully, when I'm back in free roam, put me quite a bit up this road. So I can already travel during the cutscene a bit into this road, so that's gonna save some time. And next up we're gonna be getting to 2 stunt runs. We're gonna go to the big bridge that connects the city with a mountainous area. And this bridge is really, really good for getting a lot of points, so this is also a location you're gonna see me revisit for stunt runs. So the game wants me to go straight head on here, but instead I'll take a right and head pretty much immediately to the bridge. This corner right here is one of the most awkward corners in the game. I feel like the easiest way is to cut it inside the ramp like this, but whatever you do, it's not really that great. But yeah, because still early in the run, low point requirement, just can do straight jumps here, and that should do. This car that I'm using right now tends to be pretty unstable on big jumps. So if you're unlucky, it just kind of flips over in the air. So we sometimes call it the flip cruiser, because it's called e-cruiser and it flips over. It's really funny. Very original joke. But yeah, can be a bit frustrating if you're trying to go for a good time and then your car just flips over and it kills your combo. But if you're a bit careful on the landings and make sure you're actually perfectly straight when you go over the ramp, you can avoid it most of the time. So during this stunt run, I'm gonna attempt to do 3 big jumps and then in the end land up on the rail tracks above me, because the rail tracks lead a bit more further up north into the city. So if I stay on the rail tracks, I can basically skip up one block of roads, like on the city grid up north, by dropping down here. So that avoids me, that skips me having to go all the way down on the city map and then back up. And that leads me nicely to the next event. So gonna go around here, nice diagonal road here that you can use, and just gonna smack my car into this wall, and that'll be that. So if there's anything more you would like to announce, or any donations, now would be a good time.
Well, there are no donations, and I assume people are going to get on that sometime soon.
Race northeast to
But
the
yeah, I
Waterfront
just
Plaza.
wanted to extend a big thank you to everyone who, between my last reading shift and this one, managed to reach the 800 sub goal that we had set, that HyperX would match a $2.50 donation for each one. I do encourage you all to keep going, because we have some great emotes in store, and subscribe to the channel is the only possible way you can get those. We have, for example, ESA Heart, ESA S, ESA Ayaya. It's incredible. So do get your subscriptions in. Yes, that is English. I can speak that. Gift some subs to your friends, or use Twitch Prime even. Anything you can do will get you those emotes. So get on it right now. But if you can't sub, cheers are also a thing, and we will thank you all the same.
So yeah, what I did right there is pretty much the reverse version of the route I showed a couple of events ago. So this is like basically the most used shortcut route throughout the run. You're gonna see that a couple more times. Now I'm gonna head to the next event just down this road. This road right here is a bit annoying because it's a one-way street, so you don't get any extra boost from going in oncoming traffic. So you're gonna have to make sure you don't run out of boost in front of it. It's gonna be a bit slow otherwise. But yeah, I guess I can talk a bit about how the AI is having a good time. Thank you very much. I can talk a bit about the history of this run. So there's been a long-standing record by the more or less original runner of this game, runner called Missing You, and they've made the original route for this game and had a time that was standing for over 4 years, with pretty much no real competition. And around sometime last year, I think sometime in fall last year, I started picking up the game, originally with the intent to just run the short categories like C and B license, because I wasn't a fan of these super long runs. So I started learning these, and then my friend It's Trigger, who you've also seen on ESA before, he ran Soma at ESA Summer last year. He saw me run this and he got interested as well, and he immediately picked up the full any% run,
to your car collection.
And I eventually started to want to do full any percent as well, and then we raced it, and we just got more and more into this run, and got pretty comfortable with doing like the full 3-hour run. And whoops, and we started eventually looking for route improvements, and
Race one-on-one south to the naval
yeah, we made some small changes to the route. So for the most part, the first half of the any percent run, which is what I'm showing off here in A license, for the most part is relatively unchanged from Missing You's old route. So we swapped out a couple of events. We changed the beginning of the run to make it a little more consistent with the road rages, and whoa, that traffic was tricky. And there's like 2 events coming up later in A license that we swapped out, but for basically everything up until Burnout license, we left the route relatively unchanged. But then in Burnout license, we basically made like full reroutes. We basically left nothing as it was from Missing You, because the thing is, it's pretty easy, like in the early game, to put together an efficient route, because you don't have to win that many events. So it's pretty easy to just pick out the fastest, most efficient events and put them together. And Missing You did that pretty well. But then later on, as you have to win more and more events, you eventually run out of events that are efficient to use. So it gets harder and harder to make an efficient route. So we just basically started completely rerouting the second half of any percent from scratch. So next up is a new event type. It's called Markman. Like a race, you pretty much drive from a starting point to the end point, but instead of racing opponents, you have to evade 4 other AI cars that try to hit you and prevent you from getting to the goal. So these events have a lot of time variance, because it's very luck dependent how aggressive the AI is and how good you manage to evade them. You're gonna see them soon, I'm sure. Yeah, there they are. So the best way to evade them is to just go a lot on shortcut routes, because they actually only stick to the main roads. As soon as you go on a shortcut, they're unable to follow you. And also every time pretty much you change the route and take a turn or something, they take like a short moment to catch up, to notice where you are and figure out where you're going. So if you make a lot of whoa, that was risky. If you make a lot of changes on which roads you're taking, it's gonna be much easier to evade them. Also, an important aspect about these Markman events is every car has a strength stat, and the strength stat pretty much says how many crashes your car can take during one of these events or road rages, but that's not really relevant for this run anymore. But any of the crash-based event types, how many crashes your car can survive before you get a critical damage. And then when you get a critical damage, if you crash one more time, you lose the event. So that's dependent on the strength stat. Oh, I also, yeah, I was a bit zoned out here, my bad. But, yeah, I unlocked A license now, so we're about halfway through the run here. I'm gonna switch to a new car here, the Carson Fastback, which is personally my favorite car to use. It's pretty fast, handles really well, and it also has a good strength stat. So pretty useful overall. The car looks really bad. It looks like a complete pile of trash, but I promise you it's actually a good car. But yeah, as I mentioned, the strength stat is pretty good on this car. One more important thing is that if you just pick up the car directly from the junkyard, it's gonna have a lower strength stat than when you pick it up and then go to a repair shop. So repair shops are like these drive-thrus that you see spread around the city, and if you pick up a new car from the junkyard and then go to the repair shop, it's gonna get repaired, and you have one more strength stat. So that means you can take one more hit in any of the crash-based events. And then, as soon as you repaired the car once, it always stays in the repaired status. So you basically just have to repair a car once, and then you permanently have one more strength. So a lot of times, like even if you like get a lot of crashes or so in an event, and the car looks like really beat up, if you've been to the repair shop at least once with a car, it still counts as repaired, and you have the improved strength stat. Right now, it's not repaired because I just picked it up without going to a repair shop. I'll go through one later, but this car is pretty durable either way. So here again, the shortcut route. So you can already tell the traffic is more dense now. A little bit. And heading to Naval Yard. So the next event that I'm gonna do after this, once again I'm gonna try to diagonally cross the finish line to go into the junction as I finish the event, so I can get closer to the next event that comes after this. The next event is another race, but it's like kind of a different type of race. They're not marked as different event types on the map, but they kind of are. So there's the regular races and there's the 101 races, where you just battle one opponent who drives the same car as you, instead of racing 5 opponents with random cars. And these 101 races are usually on like really short routes. So these are pretty much the shortest event types you can have. So you see this one basically just goes up one road. The problem with these short races though is they tend to be extremely punishing if you get like bad luck with traffic or something. Because a lot of times, especially later in the game, when the AI gets a lot more aggressive, it's really easy to lose these really short races. Because if you do like one crash on an unfortunate spot, it's really easy for the AI to just overtake you, and you don't, the race is so short you don't have time to catch up anymore. So you're gonna really have to be careful on these. But it seems to be going alright. Alright, I think the AI crashed, so we're lucky here. Next up we have, again, the couple of the stunt runs you saw earlier. But now I'm gonna do a different route on the stunt run, because now the point requirement is way too high for me to be able to get it with just like the really straightforward route that I did on the previous licenses. So I'm gonna drive down 2 junctions here and start the event. And then you're gonna see me go through a familiar shortcut route with 2 billboards on it. But instead of then just ending it on the junction that I ended the event on previously, I'm gonna take a left turn and just head to the beach to get my remaining points. So yeah, because of the higher point requirement, you have to route this a bit differently, which also means that you have to PC events together a bit differently. Because previously I did this event, then crashed my car on this junction, did this event on this junction, and then went up to the beach and did the race there. But now I have to skip this event because I don't have enough points in time, and just immediately go up to this event up here. So this is another example of how you have to have a bit harder time routing events together later in the game than you do at the beginning. But yeah, if you're interested in running this game, I can definitely recommend that this game, even though it might seem confusing with the route, and the route is pretty confusing at the start, but it's actually a pretty beginner-friendly game to pick up. If you check on the speedrun.com page, in the guide section, there are route guides, and it's basically just the guides are just maps of the city, and then the junctions are numbered, so you know which events to do in what order. So if you pick up the game, you can just take one of these maps and just follow them along. So it's pretty good to get into this game. Also, depending on how long of a run you want to do, as I've said earlier, you can do either of the licenses as a goal. So you can start out with just like a 13-minute long run and learn that and get comfortable with that, and then as you used to that short run, you can learn the next license and do B license for 40 minutes, and then you can always add one license and eventually make it to any percent. So really good, like a good way to get into the game. As I've said myself, I also started out just doing the short licenses, but as I got more comfortable with the game, I started adding on more and more to it, and eventually just started doing the full game. So here's the ramps again. Actually careful this time so I don't crash like last time. Alright, perfect. So I got 35k points now. I need a couple more, so I'll go on the beach, do one flat spin, and that should be enough. It's too early to actually do that math, but I'm gonna assume it's alright. So I'll just head up here and to the junction. Yeah, that's easily enough. Yeah, this game is really good if you wanna train your on-the-fly multiplying skills, because you're gonna have to pay attention to your multiplier for the stunt runs.
Watch out for the Montgomery Hyperion as you're free burning around Paradise City. If you see it, shut it down.
Also similar to just learning the route, if you pick this up. Similarly to just learning how you piece the events together. Regarding like the actual shortcut routes you take during the events, it might seem daunting, like if you think like, oh, the city is so big and I don't think I can learn like all the shortcut routes, but it's all right. You basically, since you more or less race to the same locations a lot of times over and over, you just have like a handful of shortcut routes that you actually have to do, and you can apply them a lot of times. So there's only like really 3 important shortcut routes to learn, this being one of them. And even if you don't feel like learning them, you can still get really decent times just staying on the main roads and keeping it safe. So that's also how I started, just basically staying on the main roads. The game also basically tells you where to go. So at the top of the screen you see like the road sign, and it has like a built-in navigation system. So if the game wants you to take a turn, it's gonna flash up the road where it wants you to go right there. So this is also what you can use for orientation. So taking left over the finish line here to get to the next event. Next event, once again, being a Markman. We're gonna see... We haven't seen many of these yet. Because obviously they're pretty dangerous. Because you have to fight the AI so much. But you eventually run out of good other events to use, so you kind of have to take these, more or less. And a lot of them are like really quick if you get somewhat decent luck with the AI. Oh, speaking of decent luck, that was a pretty tough traffic pattern. But yeah, the times you get in this game can vary a lot, because just like a basic traffic crash like this, that's like already almost 10 seconds lost. So it's very easy to like lose or gain time in like chunks of 10 seconds, depending on if you get a crash or don't get a crash or something like that. So taking the right turn here, there's often like a car on the left here, so you have to be careful here. Alright, lucky with traffic here. So I'm gonna go through this construction site here, and the safest way to get out of this is just to immediately go down this highway ramp, because there's actually never traffic on highway ramps. Highway ramps are 100% always clear. So what I used to do is I always just like stay on top and take the road next to the highway ramp, because that seemed like the most obvious way to go. AI got me here. But Trigger eventually started doing this, and I copied it from him. Just immediately, if you just go straight down the highway, you never crash, because there's never a car there. So that's significantly safer, even though it might look a bit scary. So down here to this road. I've just beaten a road time rule, so that's like kind of the ILs of this game. So every individual road has like its own time to beat and a timer. So you can like try to set records how quickly you manage to race down like one road. And the game has like benchmark target times to beat by default. So you might see a notification for that pop up every once in a while. Alright, that should already be enough points. So I'm gonna have a bit of a drive to the next event here. This seems like a pretty inefficient routing here, but this is something we changed from the old route. So there used to be two pretty long events. That's a car. There used to be two pretty long events here. And we replaced them with two slightly less long events. I'm just gonna stop here to end the event. So this is part of the new route here. So we're gonna have a bit for the first and unfortunately only time during this run. On the next event, we're gonna have a bit of a drive into the mountains, because this event leads up to the Lone Stallion Ranch, which is just like at the bottom of the mountainous area. And then the event I do after this, I drive up the mountain a little bit, and the event leads like back down. So you unfortunately don't really visit the mountains that much in the speedrun, especially not in an A-licensed run. You go into the mountains like a little bit in full any %. But the problem is with the mountain area is there's a lot less junctions. So the events in the mountains that you can pick from are like really far apart, which means it's really hard to route them efficiently. So there's unfortunately in a speedrun not many opportunities to get to take any of the mountain events. So for the A-licensed run, This is gonna be the only time I head into the mountain area. So just going over the bridge here and then heading a bit up. It's kind of unfortunate. There's like a couple of mountain roads that are really fun to drive, but it's just like really hard to use them in the route. Yeah, if there's any donations or any announcements you want to do, that would be a good time.
The Krieger 616
Well, we still don't have any new donations, and I encourage you all wholeheartedly to get your donations in. I would love to read them out for you. In the meantime, I'd like to encourage you all to visit www.speedrunstore.com. It has some lovely t-shirts with the ESA branding on them, and I know Nimputs is wearing one right now. Are you enjoying your t-shirt, Nim?
Absolutely. It's a great t-shirt.
Yes, these t-shirts are great. The hoodie is even better. So whatever you choose to purchase, you know you're gonna get a quality product. I tell you that much. So by all means, either get your donations in or visit www.speedrunstore.com.
So yeah, this is a pretty cool race. It basically just goes down the road that I went up the mountain. Gonna have to be a bit careful here with the shortcut here, because sometimes the AI gets in really inconvenient spots and pretty much completely prevents you from going into that shortcut. Right now I'm going over a dirt road. I guess that's kind of important to mention. If you're on high speed like I am right now, there's like really no difference at all between being on tarmac and being on dirt. If you have high speed, you're not gonna notice a difference. The only case where it actually makes a difference is when you extremely slow, basically like if you crash or something and you have to accelerate again. If you're on dirt, it's gonna be a bit harder to get up to speed. But once you're up to speed, the surface you're on absolutely doesn't matter. Whoa. Okay, so something I haven't explained yet is the car I'm using right now. I went briefly into the different boost types earlier, or rather one of the boost types. So the car I was using previously was a stunt boost. So recharged by doing stunty things like jumps, drifts, and such. This car, however, is a different boost type. This is called the Speed Boost, or I think it's called. I always get confused between. I think the car type is called actually Boost type car and Stunt type car, but the Boost type is called Speed Boost. It's a bit confusing, but either way, this is the type of car that's supposed to go fast. So the way this boost works is you also can recharge it by... Ooh. Damn. Okay, so the way to recharge this boost is by going in oncoming traffic, doing near misses, doing drifts and such. So the way to recharge this boost is pretty similar to the stunt boost. But the important difference is you can only use this boost when you have a full boost bar. So you actually have to completely fill your boost bar before you're able to boost. Love me some traffic over hills. It's great. Which sounds pretty inconvenient at first, to have to fill up the boost bar, so the boost is not always available to you. But to make up for it, if you boost through a complete boost bar without stopping, in the end you get a Burnout Bonus, which basically just as a bonus for using up your whole boost bar in one go, you get like almost like 2/3 or half of a boost bar just as a bonus. So if you boost all the way through, by the time you've used up your boost, at the very least you already have a half boost bar to use. And then if you also do some like drifting or oncoming traffic, you immediately get a full boost bar recharged, and you can chain boosts a lot and basically go fast. So this event is pretty cool. I'm gonna use a pretty unique route here. I'm gonna try to jump up to the highway here. So that's a pretty weird ramp here. That's not really very notable. But if you pay attention, you can spot it. But yeah, going down these highway ramps and going back up to switch the highway lane. And then there's a small opening on the left side of the wall here that allows me to drop from the highway. Not what I intended to do. So I'm gonna have to back off a little bit to get back to speed. So the problem there is I had to dodge traffic to the left, and then I hit some parts of the wall or something. So that's unfortunate. I get one more chance to show this route. I hope it goes better later. But yeah, there's this opening here on the left side of the wall, which allows me to drop to the rails here, and now I'm on the bridge to the Lone Stallion Ranch. So this route is really cool. It's pretty hard to pull off smoothly, but it skips like a little bump that you would usually have to take on the map. So if you see like the city map, you have this very south side route, and it takes like a little southwards bump. So you always have to like drive around that pretty much. But if you do this jump and go on the highway, you're like one road up higher in the city grid, so that skips this bump a little bit, and it saves like, if you do it well, like 10 seconds, I think. So now I'm gonna head to another stunt run. Also one we haven't seen before. This one's called Cliffhanger. And I'm gonna go over like one of the more famous jumps of this game here. So there's this really huge dam at the bottom of the mountain here, and I'm gonna jump down that. If you've played this game casually, I'm sure you know that dam. It's a really big jump. You can't really miss it. Unfortunately, the only time we take this jump in this run. But yeah, here it is. I'm gonna do a flat spin here. Very nice. Got me a lot of points, and now I'll head back over the bridge and get to the other two stunt runs that also take the bridge that I've done earlier. Yeah, that's enough points. So again, I'm staying up on the train tracks here, and drop down here to be a bit higher up north in the city grid. So I have a bit of an easier time getting to this event. So I'll just crash my car in this corner here and start the event here.
Do we have a moment for a quick donation?
Absolutely.
Well, we have a $10 donation from the next runner-up, Viper, and they are saying, "Hey Nim, best of luck with the end of this awesome run. The whole racing community is right behind you." And they put the money towards saving the animals in Super Metroid Ascent, which means that Kill the Animals is at $100 and Save is at $95. So it's really, really close. Keep those donations coming, and we can have a very, very tight race to see what is the fate of the animals.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, definitely check out Viper's 2 runs after this. He's doing V-Rally and Driver. So definitely cool runs. Go check them out. Viper's an excellent racing speedrunner. He's done a couple runs of this game as well. Hoping he comes back to it at some point. But yeah, I'm gonna do the last 2 stunt runs of this run here. Just trying to hit my flat spin here. That was Pretty sketchy, but I made it work. So with these flat spins, you have to like basically handbrake into the ramp, and it's pretty tricky to get a feel for, because you really have to handbrake a lot earlier than you think. You basically have to already be sideways by the time you reach the ramp, and then you have a pretty good chance of getting a good flat spin. If you do it too late and just start handbraking while you're already on the ramp, most of the time you're just gonna slip off to the side of the ramp or something and do like a half barrel roll and land on your roof. So you really don't want that. You really want to handbrake pretty early to get a good consistent flat spin. So this is something you really have to practice when you run this game, so you can nail these consistently. Ooh. Okay, that was not intended, but we didn't crash, so it's fine. I keep my combo. So this is the last stunt run I'm gonna do in this category. This one's pretty straightforward, because I have a nice stretch of jumps I can take on the shortcut route here, and that easily gives me enough points to beat this. So I just let my combo timer run out here as I drive to the next event. So I'm not boosting here, because boosting gives you more points, and I don't want any more points. I just want the combo to be over, and now I'm just gonna pull over at this junction over here, and this is where the next event is. So this event coming up next is a race, and it actually takes the exact same route as a Markman I've already done twice. So you might be wondering, why have I previously been doing the Markman and not the race? Because races should be like much safer, right? So the reason I've previously been doing the Markman and the route instead of this event is because Markman have a rolling start. So during the intro cutscene of the race, you already move a little forward, while a race has you accelerating from 0. So this means, even though these events take the exact same route, and even assuming you don't crash at all during the Markman is still like 5 seconds or so faster, just because it has the rolling start as opposed to the race. Alright, taking the shortcut here. Getting into this. I don't really need to go down here, but at this point I'm just kind of used to taking this route. This route right here down the highway is, as I've explained earlier, mostly a safety measure for Markman, but it's not really slower, so I do it for races now as well. So yeah, next up I'm gonna go to another Markman event. This one can be pretty tough. So we'll see how this goes. I'm gonna go through a repair shop here just because it's right on the way. And you see now the car is repaired. It still looks like a pile of trash, but it's repaired now. So I have one more hit that I can take. But ideally, if this goes well, I'm not gonna need it.
If you arrive in one piece, you get a mark on your license.
So I'm sure they'll show up pretty. Where are they? Oh, there's one. Okay. Pretty tame so far. So yeah, this is a pretty good route to use for these Markmen, because as I've said earlier, the cars that try to take you down don't actually follow you into shortcut routes. So anytime you take a shortcut route, they can't follow you, and as soon as you leave the shortcut route, they most of the time take a moment to reorient themselves and figure out where you are. So this is really the best way to go about them. Another thing that's pretty important for these Markmen, if you're a new player of this game, probably like your immediate instinct on how to play these is to just like play more defensive than you would usually, and just drive careful and be careful not to crash and all. But that's really the opposite of what you should do for these events. You really have to drive as fast as you can and as aggressive as you can, because number one, if you're faster, they have a harder time catching you. So if you go really slow, it's a lot easier for them to take you down. So if you just get comfortable with just constantly keeping up your high speed, it's a lot harder for them to hit you. And also, if you have the opportunity, you should always try to ram them and make them crash. They do respawn. It's always 4 cars that chase you, and if one crashes, they always respawn. But it always takes like a couple seconds for them to respawn. So if you manage to take one down, that's one less car you have to worry about for like 5 to 10 seconds. So whenever you have a chance to hit them into something, you should definitely do it. You can also technically during races, you can also hit the opponents, but I usually try to avoid doing that during races, because in regular races, if you take down an opponent, you get the takedown cutscene where you see the opponent crashing. And that's not only wastes a little bit of time because it's an extra cutscene during which the gameplay happens in slow motion, but also during that cutscene, the game takes away control from you and basically autopilots you. And if you're unlucky, it can lead to bad things, like the game dropping you off at a bad spot or taking a route you don't want it to take. So in a race, you always want to try to avoid taking down other cars, if possible. Sometimes you can do it like as a safety measure. If you like notice you're about to lose the race or something, take down one of the opponents and hope to get rid of them. But if you can at all avoid it, you should always try to not hit any of them. So that was like a drive away. Sometimes when you crash and it's only like a relatively small crash, you still get like the crash cutscene, but the game just lets you driving. It doesn't really make all that much of a difference as opposed to like a regular crash, where you're just being totaled and then getting respawned. Sometimes, like in this case, just there, you can keep a little more speed through the crash cutscene, because you don't have to get respawned, accelerate back up. But a lot of times it doesn't really make that much of a difference if you get a drive away or just get totaled. A lot of times the drive away is also like really inconvenient, because sometimes the game gives you the drive away and you can drive, but your car just like slides into a very inconvenient spot and you're just like facing like right against the wall or something, and then you have to manually maneuver around and get going again. So sometimes driveaways can be really inconvenient. So this race right here is pretty cool. It just has one really tough turn and the AI can really get in the way with it. So I hope this goes alright. Okay, we're good. So just taking this really awkward left turn here. And now I'm on a road that leads way more diagonal through the city than the regular route that the AI takes, so this saves a bunch of time. Also, you see it's really foggy right now. The game basically cycles through through fog and sun, more or less randomly. It doesn't really have any effect on the gameplay. It's not like it gets wet or something and that makes the car more slippery or anything. That turn is pretty tough. But yeah. It doesn't really have any effect on anything. It's a bit harder to see if it's foggy. But if you're familiar with the city and the route you're taking, it shouldn't be much of an issue. Okay, so next up is a Markman. And I would argue the toughest Markman that we do in this run. It's called Stampede. And it takes a pretty long route all the way from here, the very east side of the city, to the Lone Stallion Ranch on the west side.
You are the Markman.
So you basically have to drive all the way over through the city.
Head southwest to the Lone Stallion Ranch. Watch out for the other
And
drivers trying to
just like the race that I did earlier, I'm going to attempt to take the fancy highway route to skip like one block in the city grid. But with these guys chasing me, you can already tell. With these guys chasing me, it's gonna be a lot harder to actually pull it off. So I have to be a bit lucky here. So let's hope this works. I do get past one repair shop here though, so I'm gonna take this. So this gets rid of the one hit that I've already taken, just for safety. Alright, please don't hit me. Don't hit me. Okay, we made it onto the highway. So far so good. That's the first part. Now I just have to hope I can get off the highway again. But we'll see about that. There's plenty of things that can get in my way. Both traffic and these guys. Try to ram one of them there. And just sailed right into a traffic car. Oh well. So please be nice to me here. I made it! Just barely. Alright. So dropping down here. So yeah, this Markman right here is like... That was really unlucky. Just the other guy crashing a car and then the wreck flying into my way. That's unlucky. But yeah, as I've said, this Markman is like pretty much the toughest Markman we do in the any percent route. And if you'd actually do the full any percent run, later on it gets even tougher. Because the AI gets stronger. And the car you use during Burnout License is a lot weaker than the one we have right now. So if you do the full any percent run, this event is pretty scary towards the end. But we're already coming up to more to the end of the run here. It's only a couple minutes left, couple more events.
Race northeast to the country club.
So this is High Noon Club, also a pretty cool event. I'm gonna again go onto the rails to get higher up north into the city rather than having to go down all the way on the south side route and then having to take an awkward left turn up north. Gonna attempt to hit these billboards to get extra boost. There we go. They're a bit awkward to hit because they're like right at the edge, but can do. You actually have a lot more room than it looks. Alright. Gotta make sure to not miss my exit here. And now we're pretty much free to go. We'll just have to travel up this road. So the next event is another one of these really short one-on-one races. The ones that can get really punishing, as I've explained earlier, because they're really short and you don't have much time to catch up if you make a mistake. I've done 2 runs on other marathons of this game previously, and in one of them I actually lost this upcoming race due to really bad traffic on really inconvenient spots, so I hope this goes better now. But yeah, you can see on my license during the winning screen after the race. We're getting to the end here, so as soon as I finish up these last couple of events and my license upgrades, we are done here. That's a lot of cars here. Okay. I luckily entered the event before I crashed into traffic. But yeah, this event is like another variation of the Deep South shortcut route that I talked about earlier, so it's basically just like the second half. So this is like the second most used shortcut route. So as soon as this gas station comes up here to the right, we take this turn, dodge between the cars, and take a left here. Yeah, that was really close. And it's lightening up as well, so no more fog, that's nice. It always looks like a little depressing if it's like foggy for too long. So nice, it's clearing up now towards the end of the run. Right, that's this event. Went pretty well. So we have 2 more events to go. One is called, it's one of my least favorite race events, because it has a terrible dad joke as a name. It's called Waterway to Go, because it leads to the Waterfront Plaza. To get there we have to take a right here and then go up this hill. These junctions are a bit tricky because they're blind and there can be traffic here in pretty unpredictable spots. But if you stay on the right there, you can usually avoid it. Alright. Good travel up here.
Race east to the Waterfront Plaza.
So yeah, this just brings me back east. To the last event. This event does have one really tricky turn that's coming up, and traffic can be really rough there, so we'll see how this goes. I had a really good travel up to the event, so that can be a really good split if I actually manage to nail this turn. So I'm gonna have to take a right here. Whoops. Bit clunky, but it works. So duck next to the ramp here. You don't want to have, like, you want to avoid unnecessary airtime, obviously, because anytime you're in the air, the wheels don't touch the ground and you can't accelerate. So if you can avoid it, try to dodge ramps as much as possible. But yeah, taking the park here. The construction site, and we are at the end of this one, and we have one more event to go. That was really clean. Alright, you never really know in which direction the game's gonna respawn when it puts you back into free roam. So I did like a little break there because I was expecting I'd have to go right, but it was already putting me the correct way. But yeah, this is the final event, an event we've already done twice before.
Northwest to the country club.
So I'll just go diagonally through the city again to the country club, and as soon as we make it there, the run is done. So this is another one, another event that can, in the late game especially, get pretty punishing, because it's pretty short and the AI is pretty tough on this one for some reason. So if you get like 1 or 2 unfortunate crashes, especially in the late game of an any percent run, it's really easy to lose this event. But so far it's going well, so we should be alright here. So taking one last shortcut here, almost hit that sidewall. Alright, made it through here without crashing, that's really nice. And we're coming up on time. And time.
Well done.
Yeah. Ooh, I had a lot of like bad stumbles, like especially on the first half of the run, but I think it turned out alright in the end. So I hope you enjoyed that. But yeah, as you see, now my license upgrades and I get the next license, which requires 40 wins. So if you do a full any percent run, you also have to do that license, and then that license, when you beat that, that unlocks the credits. But for this, for here, I'm just doing a license. So it's just half the run, but it shows off pretty well how this game goes in general. So yeah, if you any interest in running this game, it's really fun. It's really beginner friendly. Give it a shot. Check it out on speedrun.com. I hope you enjoyed the run. Thank you very much, ESA, for having me, and enjoy the rest of the marathon.
Thank you very much, Nimputs. That was a very nice run. Coming up next, we have V Rally 2 by Viper. So yeah, we'll have a quick intermission, a quick ad break, and we'll be